Return of the Jedi review. It's not considered the best film of the franchise. In fact, it was considered the weaker film of the original trilogy. I don't even debate the whole trilogy thing. Let's see Rotten Tomatoes. I think Revenge of the Sith actually got a higher rating, although that isn't that great of a film either. Originally, it was called Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Jedi. David Lynch was in the casting process to be hired. David Lynch didn't want to do it, considering that George Lucas just hired a guy to do a whole bunch of stuff that he said, and that had Ewoks in it. I figured that David Lynch was pretty happy about that. The screenplay was apparently by Lawrence Kasdan, which is interesting. You heard what I had to say about Solo. It's also written by George Lucas. Oh, Return of the Jedi was edited by Marshall Lucas, which I find very interesting. I did not know that. Let me see Empire Strikes Back. Screenplay by Leigh Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan. That's very interesting to me. Marshall Lucas didn't edit Empire Strikes Back. Interesting. Trying to look up Star Wars films ratings. New Hope got 93%. Get this iPad to work. Empire Strikes Back rating was 95%, 2% higher than New Hope. Oh, it's interesting. A side note that you have to worry about fan reactions, like business sold and do well. That's important. Like it can crash the entire industry. It's probably why people have criticisms of over shared universing. Well, this is a really bad rating. 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. for Return of the Jedi. It was made on a $32,500,000 budget. Pretty high, I would say, at the time. I believe he had to spend a lot of money on from banks and stuff. I think it was on the first two films. I don't know about the third film. Distributed by 20th Century Fox. I feel like, yeah, Disney should probably own the rights to Fox just for Star Wars rights. It wasn't produced by Gary Kurtz. Sarlacc was interesting. They don't use the word Sith in the first three films, episodes 4 to 6. There wasn't even episodes 4 to 6 when this was made. David Cronenberg could have made the film, would have made the Tatooine stuff very interesting, but instead made Videodrome and Dead Zone 1 year before. Very epic year for him. Lamont Johnson, Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone was also considered. Mark can't get credit. There's credit that Lucas may have occasionally directed for budgetary reasons. Marquand said it was like trying to direct King Lear with William Shakespeare in the next room. There's a whole issue about bringing Harrison Ford back. And that sort of works, you know, they're a family in the end. It's happy, etc. Ford didn't like it. And then years later, obviously, he changed that in Force Awakens. Harry Kurtz said in an interview that he liked Luke to have that epic ending, where it's like the cowboy walking the sunset. Marquand actually suggested, this is according to Wikipedia, and I actually look at the source. I'll correct it later. Marquand felt that Yoda should have came back the third film, even though no one else wanted him back. I think that was a bad idea. There's a lot of people who claim that, talking with children's psychologists, that Vader claiming that he was Luke's father was a lie. I don't know. If they left that more open in the air, that'd be more interesting, although obviously the fans won't like it. I felt like the music in this wasn't as intense as in Last Jedi. Like when they finally go into the planet at the end, like that was so intense. The music in this is not as good, although as mentioned by Rob Agger, the Death Star scene is just incredible. Best one, probably the whole series. I would consider it the best film of all time. I like A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Just talking about Wookiees in the film instead of Ewoks, which they do in Revenge of the Sith. Lucas defended the Ewoks, saying they were supposed to distract the Imperial troops, much like in the Vietnam War. I do like his political stuff. Doesn't make it like Rob Agger stuff interesting. So onto my notes of the film. It has a thing that goes for it, like the whole everybody united at the end. Uh, struggle in the end. The underdog thing, doing stuff that worked. Like it was a good business position. Like A New Hope was the best, unadjusted for inflation, except for maybe Gone with the Wind. According to Wikipedia, although I don't think it's true, Empire Strikes Back was second, unadjusted for inflation. Return of the Jedi didn't reach that expectation. And just certain things I would say why. I don't know if it had the end as a trilogy. I think George Lucas was just like a Star Wars at this point. I feel like they could have kept going. They could have done like what Marvel did with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although they were worried about the decreasing popularity, decreasing money, etc. Could have lasted. They kept the films in 3-year periods, which is good. A lot of production. And I feel like stuff was going downhill. Yoda, Vader, Jabba, all these characters and more. Sarlacc Pit, Boba Fett, even though I know all you Star Wars Expanded Universe fans are like, no, he's revived. A lot of characters would still be alive if this movie didn't happen. I think it could have been more interesting. They could have been a lot more stuff going. They could have made it dark, like Empire Strikes Back. They could have had. It just doesn't go that far with Jabba and the Ewoks. There's some of the Kazan stuff with Jabba. It feels dark. But like some stuff, like I don't get like why Leia's the one who beats Jabba, and later on with the Ewoks, like they just sort of waste a lot of time. Uh, I don't know if anyone would do this movie. Also, some of the Rogue Squadron isn't really even mentioned prior to the showing up in the last film, last sequence in the film. I guess it's you know a lot more characters than the first film, so that you have that problem. I mean, they could spend more time on all this stuff. It could have been like a New Hope, and like it could have been like Biggs and Wedge and living on Tatooine or another planet or something. But it didn't seem to be that eloquent. And I think like the writers for the first film really were missing in this one. It's good that they had the Yoda thing. It's good that they had the homage to the Rogue Squadron in Episode 1 and Episode 4 in this. This didn't work. The fact that it's a copy isn't that big of a deal, but like it just doesn't feel as epic. Albeit maybe if time changes, perceptions will change. Oh, Luke and Leia, or brother and sister, was hardly criticized. Stuff like that. That was a cool addition. Some of the visual stuff is cool. Yoda, trapdoors, Yoda disappearing. It has a pace issue. It's a little bit too long for all this stuff to happen, and it's not that interesting. I feel like it feels very expanded university that has like all these creature and puppets and creature characters, but like storylines, it sort of hurts. We'll stop before I ramble on. What are your thoughts on Return of the Jedi? Like, comment, subscribe.